Hello everybody, welcome to my video spelling out my long-term financial aims. For anyone who doesn't know me, which is basically everybody at this point, I'm really not much of a planner. My wife calls me a rebel, apparently that's some sort of definition. I don't really plan because if things go wrong I tend to get irrationally upset about it, so I found it easier to just not do serious life planning. Obviously that's definitely not ideal, and as part of my plan to be better than I was yesterday, I'm committing myself publicly to a list of long-term financial aims. I think they're relatively ambitious. These aren't small goals at all. Some of them are decades into the future and really build up to getting financially free, being independent, and having actually a pretty decent retirement. I mean, a very decent retirement if we can hit these numbers. So I guess without further ado, let's go through some of these. Okay, so the first one is to have net wealth of 250,000 by the end of May 2021. Reasonably confident in this one. It's obviously not too far out. My wife's back to work now. She contributes just over 41% of our joint income. So having her back to work definitely has an impact. And we're continuing to add to our stock portfolio, pay off our mortgage, so therefore get more equity in the house, and so on. So $250,000 would be fantastic to hit. We should hit that, but I still think it's a great milestone, obviously. The next one, I did toy with the idea of having this as December 21 or maybe Feb 22, but it's too unrealistic really. But earn 3,000 in dividends. I'm not really sure why I chose 3,000. I guess it's £250 a month. But May 2022 felt realistic without being too ambitious. So yeah, basically by the time we get to May 2022, between June 21 and the end of May 22, want to earn 3,000 in that period of time. So that's the plan for that one. Have 100,000 invested in shares. So at the moment we are about 42,000, just over that. I do have a video where I break down how that's split out, but have 100,000 invested in shares. So that's going to be a combination of adding £800 a week into our ISAs, £400 into each ISA, some capital growth, some dividend reinvesting, but basically to have a couple of portfolios that together are £100,000, and that is for March 2022. Again, that might be a bit ambitious, but I'd rather be too ambitious than not, basically. Earn 5,000 in dividends in a single year. So here this is between July 2022 and June 23. I'm relatively optimistic about this. Again, I thought about bringing it forward. I don't think it's not ambitious. I just think it's realistic. So that across basically the previous trading 12 months, to have 5,000 in dividends across that period is the plan. Okay, this is quite a big one. So to have net wealth by 2024 December of 500,000, so hitting the $500,000 basically. That's everything. So shares, equity in home, private pensions, everything. I did recently do a video where I looked through wealth as it stood for the 10th of February, so feel free to check that out. Currently at 237, so this is basically doubling our wealth over the next 3 years is the plan. Okay, earn 10,000 in dividends in a single year. So basically across the calendar year of 2024, to earn 10,000 in dividends. I guess just as a slight segue, the stock portfolio at the moment is yielding about 4%. So in order to hit this, really would have to have the better part of 400,000 saved. Sorry, that's not the right math at all. To have 250,000 saved. Oh man, that's embarrassing. But I'll leave it in for giggles. So to have 250,000 in our portfolios to make that realistic. We'll see. Again, I think that's relatively ambitious. It's not too far out. But I guess because of my temperament, I'd rather sort of try really hard, and then if I fail, I won't beat myself up about it, rather than waste money by giving myself a soft target. Okay, this is a bit of a vanity objective, I think, but actually I think it's quite surprising, really. Like, in order to be in the top 1% of wealth globally, you need to have $770,000, which may or may not sound like a lot of money. To me, I mean, it is a huge amount of money. It's more than treble what I'm currently worth, but it also does feel attainable and aspirational. The current conversion rate is 574,000. I will sort of keep an eye on that because obviously this is slightly at the whims of Forex as well. But yeah, so that will be worth celebrating our elite status if we can get to 1% of, or be in the 1%. So having a net wealth of £574,000 slash $770,000, as well as the Forex impact. Of course, that number is going to be changing all the time. So again, I think it's still a cool aspiration, and it'll just be a little bit of a vanity thing when and if we finally get there. Okay, now some really big numbers. So I earned 25k in dividends in a single year. So this is going to be across the calendar year of 2026 effectively. Again, this is a big number. This is almost as much as the average UK taxpayer earns, and they'll be getting tax on that as well. Whereas the majority of this, if not all of it, is going to be tax-free because it's going to be in an ISA. So it's going to feel like actually more like 30,000 in terms of salary. So this is going to be a big deal for sure. Hitting that number is just, I mean, you really start to see some big numbers at this stage. Okay, also worth 1 million by the time my wife Eva is 40, so not that far out really. This is our net wealth. Again, I mean, I projected this forward. I think these targets are quite ambitious, but you know, if we're able to constantly contribute, and the returns on the investments are sort of at least 8% a year as an average, you know, and our house continues to go up at a reasonable rate, then that is achievable. So we'll see how we do. But again, it's a relatively ambitious target. So worth 1 million in 7 years is that. But again, a cool target. I know it's a fairly arbitrary number, but who doesn't love round numbers? Now some really big numbers and quite far into the future really. We're now more than 10 years into the future, but to earn dividends of 50,000 in a single year. So I mean, again, a huge income. This is after tax effectively. We won't have tax on this, so it's going to be feeling more like sort of 70,000 plus. So basically a full person's salary, or arguably 2 people's salary. And the important thing about this, as well as it currently stands, this would more than cover all of our costs that we expect to have this year. Obviously inflation will start to eat into that, but once we get to this stage, we'll really start to be able to contribute more actively, and that snowball will start going. So this is a pretty big deal as well. I mean, all of these feel like big deals because by now we're dealing in huge numbers and 10 years into the future, but it really goes to show you how things add up. So just another big jump, 75,000 in dividends in a single year. So this is December 2036, so 15 years away now. Just more of the same really, and again a huge income really in terms of what we'll be bringing in. Worth 2 million by the time I am 50, which is going to be May 2037. So still a fair way off yet, but not that far. 16 years. And at this stage, you know, it's we're really starting to get into big numbers now. This is literally multi-millionaire status. If I could get it by the time I'm 50, that would be fantastic. A lot of these aims feel slightly arbitrary, you know, just because I'm 50, what difference does it make between 49 or 51? But it would be great to hit that. We actually moved into this place when I was 30. I got our foot on the ladder, and that felt pretty great as well. Would have been nice to have done it beforehand, but again, I think I'm super lucky to have a place in London when I was 30. So this is more of the same really. So to become a multi-millionaire, be worth 2 million by the time I'm 50 in May 2037. And then this is sort of when we start thinking about retirement, basically. So this is another 20 years into the future. So when our daughter is 21, hopefully she'll be either at uni or left. Fine. And at this stage, we're really starting to think about retirement now. You know, I'll be 50, coming up to 55, which is when I'm hoping to retire. So you know, worth 2.5 million. Our mortgage should be materially paid off, if not fully paid off, depending on how life goes. And we'll just have enough income to cover everything basically at this time. So now it becomes really a choice of how long we choose to work for and what we choose to do with our time. And this is the big one basically. So earn 100,000 in dividends in a single year. This is what we currently earn at the moment with all of our contributions to investments and paying off stuff. So you know, this time actually it would be £100,000 without any tax on that. And without any real cost. Again, our mortgage would be paid off or could be paid off for this. we'd be 55, so we could think about taking a 25% of our private pension as well, just to sort of just polish everything off properly. Maybe have a nice holiday to celebrate. So this is really our end goal. Daughter would have left home, or be an adult at least anyway. I'll be 55 more or less, and this is when we start thinking about retiring. So super far into the future, 21 years into the future, and actually that May 2042 would be when I am 55. So that's why I've picked that basically. So at that time we can retire, live happily ever after, sail off into the sunset, and so on. And again, that's just in dividend income as well. You know, if we weren't living in our place, we could rent that out for, I don't know, maybe 25 grand a year in terms of rental income at that stage. Currently our flat is the better part of 20,000 market rates for rental, so I expect it to go up during that time. Potentially a state pension. I'm not going to assume that a state pension is still going to be around then. And actually, well, when we turn 55, we can get 25% of our private pensions as a tax-free lump sum if we wanted to. But also when we turn 65, we'll get full access to our private pensions that we've been contributing through work, where again we get a tax rebate if we save that way as well. So that can be quite an efficient way of saving. So again, this is I feel relatively exposed. Putting myself out to such long-term aims is not really me at all, but this is my resolution or my commitment to myself and anyone else watching this. We'll review these periodically. I guess the next review would be either in May 21 or when we hit 250k as a mini celebration, and see how we're doing. And then maybe we do it every 3 months or something, just to see how we're sort of ticking along to these, whether I need to change the dates or etc. So that's everything. Not sure how these numbers come across. Again, they're quite scary for me, just really committing myself to something for such a long period of time, but that will keep me honest. And any questions, comments, likes or subscribes are also welcome. Yeah, let's go on this journey together. Thanks very much, everyone.